Well, hey. It's funny, it kind of already feels like it's been a super long time since I've recorded a video, but it's really only been, like, not even a week. So I've got big goals for this weekend. I've definitely got big goals for today. Because, as all of you know and can see, this bathroom is not insulated anywhere. And tonight, it is supposed to get down to 13 degrees, I think. And tomorrow night, it's supposed to get down to like 9 degrees or lower Fahrenheit. Actual temperature, our wind chills are supposed to be pretty good. Pretty good way into the negatives, like -8 or -6, I believe. And we just went through that last Arctic blast week before last, or maybe that was last week, whenever that was. And it was getting down into the teens, I believe. And it was staying low 40s in here. I've got a space heater that has a thermometer on it. And obviously the space heater can't do anything in a room like this with no insulation, besides basically just be a temperature gauge. And I think at 41 was the coldest it got in here, which is really not good. You know, we've got water lines in here, and also I have to take a shower in here, and taking a shower in 40 degrees sucks. So my big goal for today is to have the insulation all in. Before I can insulate, I've got several things I need to do. I've got nail plates I need to put on the studs over everywhere where water line makes a penetration through a stud. I've got a metal plate I need to put over that to protect it from a drywall screw. I have blocking to add all around the tub, around the top of this door, and around some of the corners. I need blocking for sheetrock to anchor to. I want to add one more outlet that's going to be a dedicated space heater outlet right here. And I need to add the exhaust fan. That's going to be right here somewhere. So I need to get all those things done before I can start putting insulation in. I think the exhaust fan is the biggest thing that needs to be added that I've been putting off for too long, so I think I'm going to start with that. Alright, I know that's hard for you guys to see because this light is right in the way, but attach the exhaust fan right here. I wanted it to be pretty close to the shower and pretty close to the toilet, so that looks like a fairly good spot. This seems like one of those things that you can pretty easily start overthinking, and I really don't think it's that big of a deal where its location is. So I do have to make a roof penetration. I'm going to try to just keep it as short as I can and go center of one of these 2x10s that the roof is sheathed with. So I think I'm just going to go to this one right here. Try to keep it right in line. I'll just mark about center of this thing. Thought I had my pencil in my pocket, but I only have a pen. So I guess Diablo thinks they're slick coming up with their own little connection where you can't put any other hole saw mandrel on their hole saws. So that had me pretty frustrated for a second. But, as you can see, that's hex shaped. So a 17mm socket will slide right over that with an adapter. Impact driver adapter. I do have an impact wrench, but I'm not going out to... I guess the only problem with this is I have no pilot bit. I don't think there's a way to counter that though. So let's see. This doesn't have to be very precise. See if I can do the come in at an angle trick. I don't know if this is going to work still. I need to put safety glasses on before something stupid happens. Okay, that's kind of working, but I think an impact just doesn't have the strength or the torque that's really needed to push a hole saw this big. Ooh, that socket is hot. Probably destroying everything with this, but this is something I only really need to do once. Setting the clutch. Got a pretty good groove started with the impact. This is probably going to be a little bit harder to control on a drill. A little bit freaky putting a hole this big in the roof. Alright, there we go. Now we have a 4-inch skylight. Alright, so as you can probably hear, got the exhaust fan working. Go ahead, just unplug that for now so we're not listening to it. So I've got the hose ran and I got the hood on the roof. It's all sealed up, so that should be done. And while I had the breaker undone, while I was wiring it in, I went ahead and removed the second light that I had in here that was kind of just dangling. And I mounted this one a little bit better, even though it's temporary. Or I'm replacing both of these light fixtures with something eventually. I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I figure I'll leave one light here, so I went ahead and added a box for it. And then I'm going to do another one, I think, over the vanity or around the mirror, something like that. So it's a little dark in here with only this one light for now, but it's sufficient for what I'm doing. What I just finished doing right after that is I went ahead and got a bunch of these metal plates. These aren't the actual nail plates, so I'm not using these for what they're designed for. These are ties, but they can serve the same purpose. So what I'm using these for is everywhere I have a PEX penetration through a stud, like up here where the hot water comes out of the attic, where the cold water goes into the attic, where the cold water goes through this stud here, where the cold water goes through the stud here, and then over the sink. I'm screwing these metal plates over the stud so that when sheetrock is installed or anything in the future, whenever someone's trying to hit a stud, if they were in one of those locations, they'll go through and hit this metal plate instead of penetrating into the stud, potentially busting a water line. The only issue with using these ties instead of the nail plates is that there are these pre-punched holes all in them. So I'm making sure the PEX is ending up running between the holes so that in the 1 in a million chance that you ran a screw through and hit a hole, it can't go through and hit a piece of PEX anyway. There's not much risk hitting it anyway because sheetrock screws aren't long enough to go through a piece of sheetrock and then all the way into a stud and hit a piece of PEX anyway, or at least these sheetrock screws that I'll be using. And even if you sunk the screw all the way through the sheetrock, it still couldn't reach the PEX as long as it's in the center of the stud. So I mean, it's a very small chance that it could happen anyway, but these are only 90 cents a piece, so it's a good sense of security. Good idea to have add it, and who knows who could be in here eventually doing whatever. So that adds some security as long as someone isn't just drilling holes, you know, trying to find a stud or something. So I don't think that method is very smart. I hate when guys at work do that and they can't find a stud and they just start drilling a bunch of holes because you never know. There could be a water line or a drain or something running through the wall. Those wall cavities aren't just completely empty. Well, the long overdue part of the project. I finally finished demoing that little bit of shiplap that I said months ago that I was just leaving open, or that I was just waiting on. I got tired of demoing this off the wall. It was just so exhausting and messy and so many trips in and out of the house carrying it out. I got to that point and I was just done. And I have put it off for, I don't know, 6 months now. Finally did it and pulled that window out. Perfect night for it. It's like low 30s outside. I'm going to cover it up with this styrofoam for the night. I'm so glad to finally have that over with. And I will not be trashing this window. I like this little operable window too much. I'm going to find a new use for it somehow. I did my best to not bend it up, but it was nailed in, so it had to be pried on. But I really like how well this thing works. I'm thinking about putting it in my camper. I don't know. I'm going to put it somewhere. I'm thinking about just basically converting it to being a 16 on center wall. Come off the center of this stud 16 inches, do a continuous one off the center of that. So just kind of pretend like this one is make-believe and do another one 16 inches off that new one up to here. And that actually, just checking it, looks like I'll end up having about 16 from the center of that one to the center of this one. So that's probably what I'll do. That works better for the insulation because the insulation I bought is meant to go in a 16-inch wall cavity or a 16-inch on center stud wall cavity, not actually 16 inches. But I'm pretty much to the point where I need to start cutting wood, and of course, it's just now getting dark. And I'm not desperate enough to saw in the dark, so I guess I'm going to call it for the night. I did not meet my goal of getting it insulated today. I had more to do to get prepared for that than I thought. I'm going to clean up some more again, tape around that foam, turn all the faucets on, turn the faucet in the shower on for the night because it's supposed to get down into the low teens. And I guess call it a night and plan on getting this thing insulated tomorrow. Alright, next morning. Thought it was cold yesterday. It's real cold now. It's like 18 degrees or something outside. It's in the teens. The wind chill, real temperature, or real, whatever you call it, wind chill, real feel is 1 degree outside right now. So I am in the process of converting this to being a 16-inch on center stud wall. So I've already cut one, and I went ahead and did that notch around that top rafter. It'll sit somewhere in right here. I'm not attaching it yet because I'm going to go ahead and get this one cut and ready, and then I'm going to go outside and die and get a size to cut a piece of OSB to fill this hole. And then it actually works out good with these both these new studs go across that opening, so I'll be able to attach that piece of OSB to these two studs and close this in, and then I'll spray foam around it and we'll insulate. That's why I'm starting here, because this is one of my exterior walls. I'm trying to get this one, all the blocking done. I've got nothing to do on that wall. I've got one stud to add on this exterior wall, and that'll be done. And then I need to add a fake rafter just to have something to anchor sheetrock to here and there. And that'll be it. I'll be able to go ahead and insulate the ceiling and both these exterior walls, and that'll make a huge difference in what it feels like in here. It's 49 degrees in here. It's actually getting warmer. It was 47 degrees in here when I came in here earlier. It's up to 49. It's probably just the outside temperature getting warmer, I would assume. And yeah, it would have been ideal to do all this before I put the bathtub in, but like you guys know, I'm living in here, so I was kind of in a rush to get an operational tub, so it's like as soon as I could make it work, that's what I did. Had to make the switch to an indoor saw station today. I've been cutting all this on the bed of my truck. I can't go out. I can't go in and out. If I stayed outside, I could dress for it and, be fine. But I can't do this in and out, go out there to make a cut, realize I need to trim it a little bit, come in here, go back out there. It's not practical. So they gave me a reason to go ahead and get this room cleaned up. I also went ahead and picked my drywall up from Lowe's the other day before yesterday. So now I'm gonna have to get all that in here. I had high hopes. I went ahead and picked up all the drywall. I didn't want to potentially get all this done and then have time left and reach a stopping point, so I went ahead and got it just in case this all went really fast. I could start putting some drywall up, but I am not going to get to that today like I hoped I would. Okay, we stand that up right there. I'm marking just under the short side. Alright, so I got my saw, that's that mark I just made. I've got my saw cut depth just a little bit deeper than the thickness of a 2x4, because that's what that rafter is that I'm notching around. And so I am just going to go straight in as square as I can. This is just rough framing, so it really doesn't have to be exactly perfect. And then I'll sight down my cut line to the edge of that knot. Stopping right where they connect. And the easiest way I've come up with to work with this is flip it over to the other side and take one of these oscillating saws. It's not finished carpentry, but you don't end up with that big huge overcut, and it works and it's fast. Is that big notch necessary? I don't know. Figures it gives me a good spot to attach here, and it keeps it the same as the way they did all the rest of them, so I figured I would do it. So that one looks like it'll fit good. I know I already tested that one. I know it'll fit good, so okay, with some skilled precision, I actually think I can anchor this. Oh yeah, that worked. But before I had any blocking, I need to insulate down there. So what I decided I'm going to do for insulation is I'm going to go around the perimeter of everything with a little bit of great stuff, spray foam. So I'm going to go ahead along that sill plate to the sheathing all the way across. I went back and forth on all different types of insulations. Finally came to the conclusion, like everything else, I was overthinking it. A big problem that I've found, or that I've from research, have heard anyway, is that if you insulate super well on an old house, like if you do the full spray foam insulation, these houses were kind of built with the idea that they were going to be able to breathe. So you can end up with moisture issues. So I'm just going to do spray foam around the perimeters and then fiberglass with a vapor barrier on top of that. And this definitely needs this because there's a lot of daylight that comes around all these seams that I'm foaming right now. Alright, I just got back from eating lunch and I went to the hardware store and I got some new safety glasses, a new tape measure to replace that auto lock. If you guys remember that a couple of months ago when I was talking about how much I hate that thing. I finally broke it a couple weeks ago. It tore. It got caught between the slab and the rim joist right here, and I tried to pull it out and it ripped. Got new cutoff discs, safety glasses, new tape measure. Because the stage that I'm at right now, I've got one more piece of blocking I need to add before I can start insulating, and that is going to be another false rafter across this side. You can see I added one here and there. That's just something to pin which here it's going to be cement board, but over there it's something to anchor the sheetrock to when it comes across. All of this was strange the way that it was before because it had all that shiplap, you know, the wood, and then that's what they had anchored their sheetrock to. So it was missing some blocking in some crucial locations in the corners. So I've added that and that. You know, obviously I added these 2x4s. I added all my blocking across there, insulated down there first. I added another vertical 2x4 at that corner of my new wall. And I added one in this corner right here. And I still need to do one in this corner, but that's not holding me up from insulating because that's an interior wall. So what I got to do right now is I need to add, you can see right here, when my sheetrock comes across, this side will have nothing to anchor to. So I need to add a block all the way across right here. And the problem with that is there's nothing to anchor a block to either. There's nothing. So I need to cut all these nails off, and then I'm going to lay another 2x4 up here on top of the shiplap, and I'll pin it all the way through this top plate of this wall. I'll just leave a break right there, and then I can do a continuous 2x4 right in line with this. That way at that corner I've got a good anchor point. And that's the other 2x4 that I just added, so that at this corner you can see we have, at the end of the sheetrock on both sides, we'll be able to anchor it. And I just had to cut all this shiplap off right here. Same thing all the way across here. I still got to cut these off, but I'm going to use my oscillating saw for that. I used my chainsaw to cut all that just to make it go fast. And it worked good, made a mess. I had a lot to vacuum up. That's my pile that's left. But now I'm just going to use my oscillating saw and finish those off so that I don't risk hitting that Romex or either of the PEX pipes. Well, I didn't finish insulating. I think I'm going to try... So, the issue that I'm having, that I'm sure a lot of you guys are seeing, is that I have 16-inch on center insulation because they don't carry 24-inch on center in stores. It's special order. Minimum order of 4 bags. I only need like 1.5. You have to order it, so they don't just have it in stock. So I just thought, well, I'll just get the 16-inch kind, variety, and just put them next to each other. I figured that they would have enough friction to hold themselves in there. They do not, at least not on the rafters. They do just fine in the walls. So what I think I'm going to try is tomorrow, I just went through and I did all my full pieces everywhere. So I didn't cut in, I only cut in like 2 ceiling cavities worth of full length insulation. And that's what I was discovering, it's really not working. I'm using I have those little strips of foam. That's sill plate insulation. I was using that, stapling that across like a strap to hold it in place. Kind of working, not working that good. So, one of my friends suggested, I was texting in my friend group, and one of my friends was like, you know, you might be able to use spray adhesive and get them to stick to the sheathing. And I think that's worth a shot. So I'm leaving it like that for tonight. And it's late anyway. It's like 6. Jeez, it's almost 7. I got a lot to do too. So I got to get all this sheetrock carried in because I was optimistic and thought I might get installation and hang some sheetrock done this weekend. Instead, I didn't even finish installation. So my next challenge is carrying all these sheets of sheetrock into the house without destroying them. Go ahead and at least partially open the door. So these things are 2 sheets banded together, so I'm just going to see, rather than cutting them apart, I'm going to see how hard it is to carry 2. They definitely aren't light, but it's not impossible. This is a bad time to have the short doorways that I have. This really isn't too bad. And that feels only maybe a little bit heavier than a full sheet of 3/4 plywood. These are only 4x8 sheets and they're only 1/2 inch. 2 sheets of 5/8 I'm sure would be a lot more of a challenge. And it would be a lot worse if they were the 10 or 12 foot lengths. But just 4x8, 1/2 inch. Just doing 2 of them at a time is a little much. But I don't feel like I'll get a hernia doing this. It's funny, I'm still so in town here, but I'm also at the same time so out of town. The sky looks exactly the same as it does whenever I'm camping in the middle of nowhere out here. And you seriously can see, you can really see the light from the northwest Arkansas area, that direction. Because that's Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville. This whole direction, the sky is like, let me see if how much the phone picks it up. So you see how dark the sky is this way, all the stars and stuff? That's towards nothing, basically, just more and more remote. If you turn this way, you see the light? That's not from the nearby city that I live next to. That's all from, 30 miles away. I bet if you did a long exposure picture, it would be really obvious. Anyway, halfway done. Another update, I'm finally having the trash pile hauled off tomorrow. I debated back and forth. My original thought was I'd have a junk removal company do it. Then I thought I'd take care of it. And then I thought about renting. There's these services where you can rent a dump trailer, you fill it up, and then you drop it back off and they dump it. And then I thought, I can just get a regular trailer, take it to the dump. And I've done this, and I've wasted months. And I've had this horribly trashy pile of junk right in my front yard for months. Embarrassing anytime someone comes over. Finally, just decided to text. I did at least price shop. I texted a few junk removal companies, and I did just go with the cheapest guy because it's not like this is a service where I need extreme quality or anything. And also, it's funny, the cheapest guy was like the most professional guy. It was like the most reputable company around was the cheapest. I even texted one guy that's not even like a company. He was just a guy that like posted in a local Facebook group. He was just like, I'm trying to make some extra money, so I'm doing junk removal. And he was the most expensive. I was thinking I'd help him out. I said, good Lord, when I saw his price. I'm trying to not rub this over the hinges on this bedside. This is a balancing act of not torquing my back and also not flexing the sheetrock too much, putting too much stress on it right on that corner. Alright, I think I successfully did that without damaging any of the edges. Alright, getting this insulation done has taken me an insane amount of time, or it is taking me an insane amount of time because I'm not done, not even close. This has been one of those steps in the process that's just hurdle after hurdle. I don't know how to explain it. It's not been going simply. New pair of gloves. Go through these things crazy fast. But I think this is going to be a pretty nice pair. So, yesterday I went and got my contact adhesive. This was the only kind they had. It was pretty expensive, but it's industrial strength, so surely that should work pretty good. I'm going to test it out on this one first. I guess I'm going to pull these little straps I put on there off, and then I might pull the small piece out. I'm going to try just doing a strip or something. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. And I told myself I was going to do this yesterday, but I came home and decided I've had enough of my living room layout. Not having a TV has been the problem. Let me see if I can just... see if that sticks. Okay, so far that's not working at all. Seems to be working. I just got to push it kind of hard, and I got to make sure I get decent coverage. All right, so I'm not wearing my mic, but look at how much this bag expands. It'd be nice if I could compact it back down like that eventually, because I'm not going to use nearly all this bag, but I needed a second bag to get it done. Well, let's do a different angle to show off the insulation. I am so glad to finally have this over with. Oh my gosh. I'm sure it's going to be a very significant difference over a fully uninsulated room. So not much to say. It's Wednesday night. Plan on getting back in here tomorrow and continuing on blocking. Let me show you what I got real quick. As we finish this video, showed up in the mail today. Haven't even opened this yet. After all my talking saying I wasn't going to do it, this is a metal niche. This is recommended to me by one of the commenters. I didn't even know they made the... Well, I mean, I guess I've seen these before, but I just never really thought about it. This saves you from having to tile a niche. So I did decide I'm going to do one in this wall. I've got to reframe this. I'm going to move this center stud, add another stud, and center this up right here in this wall. I think that matte black is going to look really good. I got this off Amazon. I think it's going to work really good. So that, like I said, that'll go on this wall. So I got some framing to change here. I've still got blocking to add all across through here and over there for the edge of my backer board, and also I need blocking for whatever shower door system I end up putting in there. I'll need blocking to anchor to, and I need blocking across the top for my backer board. So that's what I'll be moving into next, probably tomorrow afternoon. Sorry, I hate how long it's taken me to get a video out, but on top of everything that's going on, I don't know if many of you guys know about it, but that TikTok ban that's been going on, they also banned CapCut, which is the editing software that I use. So now I've got to find a new editing software and learn a new editing software. That's another thing that kind of slowed me down. I tried to just go ahead and get started on editing this video a little bit the other night, and I found out that CapCut is banned in the United States now. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that had to do with anything, but I guess because it was related to TikTok. Even though they brought TikTok back, still can't use CapCut. This whole thing feels a little bit shady, what's been going on with the ban and the unban and what's still banned, and, you know, I don't know. It feels like something bigger is going on there. But anyway, I'm ending the video here. I'm going to get this edited as quickly as I can. Got a plan for what I'm moving on to. Thank you guys so much for your support. Sorry it took so long to get this video out.